Welcome to Antenne Direct Special on Radio Burkina, dedicated to the great speech of the President of Faso, Captain Ibrahim Traoré. On the occasion of year 2 of the transition, RTB Radio allows you to interact with the head of state for about an hour on the clock, around current issues, defense, the fight against terrorism, and other subjects of national interest, live from the presidential palace of Kaluba. Like a captain at the helm of a ship caught in a storm, Captain Ibrahim Traoré took command of a Burkina Faso facing security, social, and economic storms. During these 2 years, the president of Burkina Faso has had to navigate through the waves of challenges that we are all experiencing, while staying the course towards a regained sovereignty and a future of peace and stability. Today, we stop to look at the course we are taking, the obstacles we have overcome, and the horizons that are emerging. Good morning, Mr. President.
Bonjour, madame.
Good morning, madam.
Merci de vous prêter à ce.
Thank you for taking part in this exercise on Radio Burkina through the program Antenne Direct. Before receiving the first set of questions from the listeners, Your Excellency, this is the first time that you have spoken directly to all the Burkinabe through the airwaves of Radio Burkina. How do you feel about sharing this moment of direct dialogue with the Burkinabe people?
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much. Good morning, dear parents, dear brothers and sisters, listeners of Radio Burkina. Thank you, madam, for this opportunity that has once again been given to us to be able to communicate directly with the people. It is a real pleasure, and it is also a moment for me to be able to understand, today, at the stage we are at, the current aspirations of the people through your channels, and to be able to readjust our program, if we can put it that way. So I say it's a great time of pleasure, and thank you again for this opportunity.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. President, for those opening words. We welcome Hervé Kabore, who will give us his first questions.
Merci, Chantal Nikema.
Thank you, Chantal Nikema. Your Excellency, Mr. President, the first question comes from Sector 16 of Ouagadougou. Stéphane Kéré wants to know how you experienced the multiple attempts at destabilization with your assassination in mind. The second question is Mrs. Kone from Bobo Dioulasso. She wants to know what will happen to the plotters. And then, still in Bobo Dioulasso, it is Daniel Sanu who asks, has an arrest warrant been issued against the destabilizers and their accomplices? Eugène Kambire from Batié in Numbiel would like to know what really happened in Barsalogho. This is also the question of Suleiman Owa Diarogo Akaya in the Center North, Salifo Sanu from Bobo Dioulasso. And then the last question is from Jean Ilbudo from Ouagadougou. He would like to have your reaction to the political orientation speech of the late Captain Thomas Sankara in the midst of the celebration of the National Days of Patriotic Commitment and Citizen Participation. How important is the DOP for you when we see that its content is still relevant? Thank you.
Merci, Hervé Kabore.
Thank you, Hervé Kabore, for this first series of questions from the listeners. Mr. President, you have just heard the concerns of the listeners, which revolve around the desire for destabilization, and in particular with the attack on Barsalogho. Listeners would like to know, how did you experience these situations?
Before embarking on this mission, I think that there are a number of risks that we must measure and accept to assume. And among these risks, there is the fact of not succeeding in the mission for which we had come. So, when we come, it's either it goes or it breaks. Thank God we were able to succeed in the mission to be able to imprint our vision of things on our country. After that, the other risk is to accept to give up everything. So, as a young person, you can't be there therefore at the top of the state, and maybe want to find myself under mango trees, eating sumbala like the others. That is to say, to accept, to forget one's youth, to accept, to forget life, and to devote oneself entirely to one's country. One of the risks is this situation we are experiencing, destabilization. Because if you want to right the ship of such a country, inevitably, you are obliged to crack down, and by cracking down to straighten out, you create internal and external enemies. So we have to expect these situations of destabilization, assassination, and everything, because we have affected the interests of many people. So there is social inequality. There is corruption, there is poor management of public affairs. If we try to rectify all this, inevitably, we will affect the individual interests of certain people. And these people very often are rich, have money, and use this to manipulate, often people poorer than them, to alienate us. In fact, that's internal. And these same people do not hesitate to coalesce with the imperialist forces that spend their time only annoying us, impoverishing us. The other point is these external forces. There are many countries today that we have on our backs, and we have no choice. We have to do it. There you go. If we want our homeland to be independent, if we want our sovereignty, if we want the Burkinabe to have enough to eat, if we want our children to go to school without paying a franc, if we want malaria, which is one of the most widespread diseases in Burkina Faso, to be treated in the future, if we want to cure our population of certain ills at 0 francs, certain dreams that we have, but we will have to make a lot of concessions. We will have to prevent certain powers from making us their enemies. So we are prepared for these situations. We experience them as normal. In fact, it doesn't shake us. It doesn't scare us. It still gives us the courage to move forward, because through these events we know that the guideline we have chosen is the best line for our homeland, for our people. So we live it like that. And the plotters, currently, we have spent 2 years raising awareness, talking, warning. People thought that we were warning too much. But it was necessary for the Burkinabe to see for themselves how far some Burkinabe can go against the homeland. If we had started to crack down in a certain way from the beginning, it is not obvious that you yourselves would understand us. Captain Thomas Sankara was misunderstood at some point, perhaps because they started strong. But it was necessary to let the people see, to understand what these plotters are, to communicate with the people. Today I think people have understood a lot.
D'accord. L'auditeur de Bobo Dioulasso.
All right. The listener of Bobo Dioulasso would like to know what is the fate of these plotters.
Comme nous l'avons dit, à partir de cette...
As we said, from this point on, I am not going to go into details. Everyone will take responsibility. All right, if someone takes steps like that, well, they assume all the consequences. We are no longer going to advise anyone, or well, warn anyone again.
On va revenir sur
Let's deal with the case of Barsalogho. There is a listener who would like to know what really happened in Barsalogho.
Barsalogho. I'm not going to go into details either, but Barsalogho, I think I was personally targeted, because Barsalogho and there is a story. Barsalogho and the situation in the country have a history in June 2022. You may be able to find out more on site in Barsalogho afterwards. Well, I defied a lot of orders to intervene so that Barsalogho wouldn't fall. And so, I sacrificed a lot of things anyway to Barsalogho. This is the place for me to thank many people who supported us in our maneuver, and I think they targeted Barsalogho because it was going to affect me. That's the goal. I don't want to go into certain details, but maybe one day we'll have the opportunity to talk about it.
alors votre
All right. So your reaction to the political orientation speech of the late Captain Thomas Sankara, is this a concern of Jean Ilbudo from Ouagadougou?
C'est vrai, nous avons d'ailleurs...
It's true. We have also chosen the date of October 2nd for the launch of the Patriotic Days of Patriotic Commitment. This is precisely to corroborate with the DOPs, because this discourse is a reference point. And I think that some countries far from our sub-region have used this frame of reference to develop, and they make us understand this, because they have drawn a lot of things from this discourse. And we are inspired by this news, and we adapt it to the context as well. There are certain things in his time, in 83, that can no longer be done today, but we are adapting them as we go along. Thomas Sankara was too far ahead of his time, and I think that all this means that he was not understood, because he saw things that others did not have the opportunity to see. His vision was much further ahead. But today we realize that we should have. Every time, it's questions like this that we ask ourselves, shouldn't we have been? Shouldn't people have done it? But hey, it's already over. But I think it's a topical speech. It's the same vision for the total sovereignty of our country, and I think we have to follow this momentum.
Je voudrais savoir
I would like to know, what is the morale of the troops standing against these attempts at destabilization?
Je dirais que le moral des troupes
I would say that the morale of the troops is high, because committing to defend the homeland, you know, when you're a soldier, there's a natural state of mind that's there, within the environment, within the army, getting up, grabbing your backpack, your weapon, and heading off to the front isn't something everyone can do. But generally, in a soldier's mind, when he leaves with pride. He knows what might happen, but he leaves with pride. And today, with what we've put in place, what we're trying to do as an effort through supporting the people, many soldiers are truly proud to be soldiers. That's why they give their heart and soul. And with all the support that people are also giving them, I think that can only boost morale. It's true that these destabilizing situations don't affect them, but it gives them even more courage to fight. They understand better why they must fight for their homeland. They know very well that it's not for nothing that they're trying to destabilize us. Even though we were able to change the situation in terms of equipment, recruitment and training, in a short period of time, if people continue to try to destabilize us, it gives the military more arguments to boost their morale and